Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this week we were teaching things, and I was going to teach you how to make a person out of aluminum foil. But then I was looking around the internet, and I realized it's getting to be that season again, the graduation season. You see, a few years back, I was daydreaming, as one does, about what I would say if for some reason I became very successful, and my old high school invited me back to give a commencement speech at the high school graduation. But when I thought about it, it became not so much a daydream about what I would do if I was great and famous, but a really important thing that I needed to say. And so I wrote it all out. And now that I have this video medium, I'm going to give you all a somewhat imaginary commencement speech instead. Dear graduates, I've been asked to speak to you today because I once sat where you're sitting, and now I've gone on to do great and mostly imaginary things, so now I'm a role model, and once I was a new grad like you were. I suppose I'm expected to say something nostalgic, like my years in the public school were the best years of my life, but they weren't. Quite the opposite, usually. Oh, I have great memories of band trips and musicals and spear excursions and the like, but that wasn't typical. You see, I had this problem in my early childhood, being both extremely smart and extremely sensitive. I was the kid who pointed out when other people were doing it wrong, and I was also the one who would stop the game in gym class if it was getting too rough. You can imagine what elementary school was like for a crybaby nerd girl like me. So, by middle school, I had had enough of the taunting, the pranking, the shunning, the wicked laughter, so I tucked myself away from it all. I withdrew. By the time I was where you are now, I'd been voted not most likely to succeed, or not most likely to be giving this speech to you. I'd been voted shyest in the class. I'd learned to hide a little too well. But even though I hid, I never shook the old labels. When anyone remembered to notice me, they remembered the crybaby nerd girl. That may have been the end of the story. Me, just another victim of bullying. Woe is me, tra-la-la. I know everyone's got this story. I know you've got this story, and probably half of you do. No, 80% of you do. But that's not the end of the story. Because then in 11th grade, I met a 10th grader named Angie. Angie was brilliant. She could make up poetry, funny rhyming haiku, off the top of her head. She wrote hilarious stories in which our classmates and teachers met grisly fates at the Grand Canyon and McDonald's. She'd speak in foreign accents, good ones, and strangers into thinking she was actually an exchange student. She never said the obvious thing, but the thing that took the obvious one step further into the crazy and the genius and the perfect. She thrilled at spontaneous lunacy, like unplanned road trips to the next county over for ice cream, or like the time in college when she found an abandoned fence post on the side of the road and brought it back to the dorm, painted it in psychedelic colors, and then set it up on display in the dorm lobby, anonymously dedicated to her resident advisor. But that's college. This story needs to get back to high school, when I'd only just met Angie. But I already knew she was the most amazing, creative, hilarious, fascinating person I had ever encountered. She was also the single most unpopular girl in the school. Oh, of course, the bullies had their excuses. They had their prejudices that were so obvious to them based on looks or weight or gender expectations. And why this made it so important for them to torment her, I will never understand. But I was furious. I was furious, frustrated, something else, something new. For the first time in my life, I actually felt sorry for the bullies. Not saying I condoned their behavior, because I hated it from the bottom of my soul, but I couldn't help thinking about what they were missing. Couldn't they see how brilliant Angie was? Didn't they realize what they were missing out on, not befriending someone as fun and creative as this? Didn't they know they were willfully turning their backs on what might have been one of the greatest friends they would ever have? And this story does get better. In college, surrounded by new people who took the time to get to know and love us for who we really were, Angie was even, dare I say, popular. I wouldn't go so far for myself. I think I was just the one with the Kermit in the window and the crazy box of 45 records for the radio show. But I could never shake the memory of how tragically she'd been misread in high school. So I made it a goal in my writing to show characters who are always more complex and amazing than everyone thinks they are. Because it isn't just Angie. It's everyone. It's you. It's all your classmates. It's all your teachers. It's your parents. It's the people you pass on the street each day. People working in the store. Rock stars. The actors you see on TV that actually have talent. The reality stars that are just there because they want to be famous. Your stupid little brother. And that guy who pushed you into your locker in 7th grade. Every one of those people is unique. And there's more to them than you know. You don't have to be a bully not to be noticing these things. Later in my life, as Facebook became more popular, I caught glimpses of where all my old classmates are today. And I'd had impressions of who I thought they were, even if I wasn't a bully. Only to discover now there's so much about them I didn't know. Interests and the obscure careers that they now have, working as advocates for rare causes, and unique hobbies of all sorts. Life stories I could never have imagined for them. All these people are so unique, so accomplished, so much more than whatever they appeared to be in school. So this is what I've decided you really need to hear from me today, as you begin a new era of your lives. This speech is not another rant against bullying. It's about you. You embracing the you really are. In the course of going to school, you've all been placed in some sort of box with some sort of label. The geek, the jock, the queer, the skater, the cheerleader, the slut, the follower, the goody-goody, the pothead, the fat one, the brain, the class clown, the kid who wet his pants that time in 5th grade, the idiot, and the bully. Maybe the label's accurate. Maybe it's not. Maybe you're comfortable in your box. More than likely, you're a little bit constricted. It's a box. But I'm here to invite you out of that box. Feel free. Take whatever pieces of that box you like along with you if you want, because I'm still a self-professed nerd and I'm proud of the fact. But remember that you are more than that box, than that label. You are a complex, unique, irreplaceable individual. And chances are very few, if any, of your classmates here know the extent of your true self. It's possible you've let them trick you into you not knowing the extent of your true self. So don't let them define who you are anymore. Define yourself. Decide who you want to be and be that person. No one else's expectations of you matter. Get to know yourself and then introduce yourself to the world. Everyone has a unique spot in life that only they can fill. Find that spot, your spot, not the spot these people who barely know you have wanted to shove you into all these years. Find the spot where you truly feel at home. Don't forget, as you're finding your own place, that everyone else is doing the same, and there's always more to anyone you meet than the first label you see. You can open your eyes to an amazing world full of amazing people if you just accept and believe all this stuff is inside of everybody. Thank you. Congratulations. Good luck.